Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm going to show you how to fix this type of faucet valve, specifically a ceramic disc cartridge, once and for all. You've probably seen these around. Some require multiple turns to open, while these half-turn models open and close with just a quick twist. They usually come in two variations, one with a long thread and one with a short thread. And as you can see, their diameters are different. Personally, I usually replace these cartridges every 3 to 6 months. The classic sign that they are failing is when you shut off the tap, but it just keeps dripping. Eventually, that drip turns into a steady leak. The problem with finding parts. Ideally, you can repair these using small copper washers with an outer diameter of 14 millimeters, an inner diameter of 10 millimeters, and a thickness of 1 millimeter. However, I ran all over the stores in my city and couldn't find the right size. The closest I got was this one with a 12 millimeters outer diameter and an 8 millimeters inner diameter, but it simply won't fit over the stem. I also found one random washer left over in the shop with roughly a 9 millimeters inner diameter, but again, it won't slide onto the stem. You might run into the exact same issue. Sure, you can order a pack of 20 or 50 of them online from AliExpress or an auto parts store, but that takes time, and you have to wait for shipping. So today, I'm going to show you a clever way to fix this cartridge without needing pre-made copper washers. Diagnosing the leak. Let's look at a real example. Here is my bathroom faucet. The cold water is literally pouring out right now. I've already shut off the hot water line. Watch! I turn the cold handle to close it, and water is still gushing out. Let's take it apart and see what's going on. All right, here is the problematic cartridge. Visually, you won't see anything wrong from the outside because the issue is entirely internal. Inside, there's a small Teflon, PTFE, ring that sits against the stem. Over time, this ring wears down and gets thinner. As it wears out, the stem shifts slightly outward. When that happens, the two ceramic discs inside, which are supposed to press tightly together to block the water, lose their tight seal, and water starts seeping through. On the base, we have a black rubber O-ring. On my older cartridges, these were made of silicone. Silicone is actually much better because rubber hardens over time, whereas silicone stays flexible. We'll replace this rubber one with a silicone one later. There are a few temporary fixes out there. Some people try to stuff rubber rings or even electrical tape inside to force the ceramic discs closer together. I used to think the leak was caused by the ceramic discs themselves, so I bought replacements and swapped them out, but it didn't help. That's when I realized the real culprit is deeper inside. Disassembling the cartridge. To get inside, we need to remove the retaining mechanism holding the stem. On some cartridges, it's a C-clip or a retaining plate that you just pop off. On this specific model, it's a tiny locking screw. Let's back it out using whatever tool you have on hand. I'm using a specially sharpened screwdriver, but a small wrench or even pliers can work in a pinch. Once the screw is out, we simply push the stem forward through the housing. Here's the stem. You can see two rubber O-rings that prevent water from leaking up through the handle. And right here is that Teflon washer. Look at how thin it is. It's practically like paper. It completely wore down. When this ring thins out, the stem moves outward, the ceramic discs separate, and your faucet starts dripping. In some old cartridges I've opened, this washer is completely gone. Making your own copper ring. People try to replace this Teflon ring with pieces cut from plastic bottles or bottle caps, but those wear out just as fast. As I mentioned, a copper washer is ideal. But if you don't have one, here is the ultimate DIY alternative. 1 millimeter copper wire. You can find this around the house or at any hardware store. In hardware stores, wire is often labeled by its cross-sectional area. A wire with a cross-section of 0.75 mm superscript 2 has a diameter of exactly 1 millimeter, so that's the one you want to buy. Since the stem has a uniform diameter, we can use it as a mandrel. Take your copper wire and tightly wrap around the stem a few times to create a coil. Use pliers to crimp the ends down snugly. Now, slide the coil off the stem. Take a pair of wire cutters and snip straight down the line, where the loops meet. Just like that, you instantly have perfectly sized individual copper rings. Clean up any rough edges. Slide one of your new copper rings onto the stem, and it will perfectly replace the worn-out Teflon washer. Before putting it back together, check the rubber O-rings on the stem. Mine are in good shape. Sometimes dirt collects under them, so it's a good idea to pop them off and wipe the grooves clean with a tissue. If these O-rings are worn out and you don't have replacements, you can wrap a little bit of Teflon plumbers, tape underneath them to increase their diameter. It's also great to lubricate them with specialized silicone grease, the type used for washing machine seals. Since my rings are fine, let's reassemble. Insert the stem back into the housing. Push it all the way in until the screw hole aligns perfectly with the slot. Reinstall the locking screw and tighten it down securely. Check the stem. It should be rock solid now with zero play or wiggle room. Put the ceramic discs back into their matching slots. Double check the alignment so the valve opens and closes in the right direction. Replace the bottom gasket. I'm swapping the hardened black rubber one for a softer silicone gasket from an old cartridge for A. Better seal. I've reinstalled the cartridge into the faucet and turned the main cold water supply back on. Let's test it out. Look at that. There's just one leftover drop hanging on the spout, but no water is pooling up or dripping. Check in the handle area. Completely dry. Everything works perfectly. Now I'll just pop the decorative cap back on. Keep in mind that cartridges vary by manufacturer. Sometimes the original Teflon ring is thicker, around 1.5 millimeters or 2 millimeters. If that's your case, you can either stack 2 of your DIY copper rings or buy a slightly thicker copper wire, like 1.5 millimeters, to match the original thickness. Copper is soft, so you can easily sand it down on a piece of sandpaper if it's a bit too thick. Copper will last significantly longer than the cheap plastic or Teflon rings these manufacturers use. If you do want to buy pre-made parts, I will leave links down in the video description below for where you can find packs of copper washers and replacement rubber O-rings on AliExpress for very cheap. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.